Today on Ballistic Burgers, I'm going to be cooking up the Little Sal slider from Rosemarie's Buns and Brews in the San Diego community of Ocean Beach. Let's get going. So my lovely wife maintains a list of burger places that she sees pop up on her Instagram. And the other day we were sitting there comparing notes and Rosemarie's popped up. And she's mentioned it before. I hadn't been there, and I'm kicking myself. I'm embarrassed to say that I hadn't been there before, but we decided to go there to do a little recon mission, see what they had going on. Holy cow. Wow. So the location we went to is in Ocean Beach, which is a beach community here in San Diego. They have another location a little further north in Mission Beach, and I think they're coming out with a third location a little further south. But Rosemarie's Buns and Brews, they make sliders, and they all, sandwiches and a bunch of other things, but they're famous for their sliders. And initially I'm thinking, okay, sliders, I'm picturing little hamburgers that you have with some fries while you're watching a baseball game and a beer. These sliders, the patties are 1/4 pound Wagyu beef, and they're over the top. The chef and founder of Rosemarie's Buns and Brews, name is Nick Balsamo. He's a trained chef. Rosemarie was his grandmother. He named his restaurants after his grandmother, which is cool. When you're inside the restaurant, there's family photos, and I was dumbfounded at how good these burgers were. And I had two of their sandwiches, the Little Sal's, which this is the one I'm going to be making today, has, an onion jam, an onion confit. It's just a really well thought out burger. And then the Rosie Mac, which is their kind of take on the Big Mac. And that burger has two. It's a slider, the same size slider buns that you see on any slider. That burger has two 1/4 pound patties on it. So it's a 1/2 pound of beef. Two of these regular sliders is a meal, and actually they're fairly reasonably priced for what you're getting. But anyway, it was kind of cool while we were there, and I don't call places, I just go, and I take notes writing down the order of like the condiments and everything, and then I try to break down the flavors so I can get a grasp on what's going on. And I was done eating, our meal, we were done, and I thought, I want to talk to this guy. He was behind the counter. I think he was the manager. And I started asking him questions about like the confit and the jam and everything. And then all of a sudden he says, well, here's the founder, Nick. Why don't you talk to him? So I'm talking to Nick, really, really nice guy. And he's giving me some really cool tips. Like one I'm going to mention right now because I'll probably forget. This burger has arugula on it. And what Nick told me is that he tosses the arugula in rice vinegar, and that's the acid component. Because, for a good burger, you need acid, you need fat, you need salt. And sometimes I struggle because there's burgers that you don't want to put a pickle, like a dill pickle slice on there, pickled cucumbers. So I usually kind of go towards like pickled onions, but I'd never thought of tossing the lettuce or the arugula in a vinegar, and I think that was just such a simple, genius thing. And that's one of the reasons why I love doing these copycats, because I learned a lot. But anyway, talking to Nick, and then all of a sudden I hear this voice, hey, you're Ballistic BBQ. And I look, and it's this big guy standing there, and it turns out he was the owner of a burger place that I did a recreation of one of their burgers. It's called Bonehead Burgers, and his name is Kit. He's the owner of this place, and before you know it, because they're friends, Nick and Kit are both friends, we're all just sitting there BSing, which was fun, but it kind of threw me off track. I deviated from the mission, which was recon, but I thoroughly enjoyed those guys. They're just awesome guys. So anyway, I went back to Rosemarie's yesterday, and I bought 2 burgers to go, brought them home, completely dissected them in my kitchen, and I think I did a pretty good job of what I'm going to present to you. We're going to kick off this video with their onion confit recipe. This is going to be that onion confit. I have here 1 whole onion. It's a large onion. that I chopped up pretty finely. We season it with a little kosher salt. Some fresh ground black pepper. Then I have here 2 cups of melted unsalted butter. Just pour that over. Perfect. Now I'm going to cover this tightly with foil, and it's going to go into a 350-degree oven. Starting out in an hour, I'll check it in 1 hour. If it needs to go longer, then I'll go longer. I just want these onions to become very, very like translucent. And I will mention that Nick told me that they do confit their onions in butter. Next, we're going to do their bacon whiskey jam. Right now for that bacon jam, I have here about 6 ounces of chopped bacon. Just gonna get this to where it's rendering down. All right, we have a lot of good fat down here now. 1.5 medium onions. This is finely chopped, it's white onion. I'm gonna get this all coated with that pork fat. This is about 6 small cherry peppers that I chopped up, and most of the seeds are not in here. Put that in there. All right, those onions have been all sweated out, and they're starting to get a nice kind of a golden color. So we're going to start adding some liquid. I have here 1/2 cup of maple syrup. It's going to be the sugar component for this, but I tasted maple in this jam, so 1.5 cups of bourbon. When you do this, you want to make sure that flame has been turned down. But I kind of cooled down the contents with that maple syrup. So now what I'm going to do is take this into the house. I'm going to put it on my stove top, and I'm going to simmer this at a very, very low temperature. By the way, I decided not to add salt. I think that pork bacon, you know, is salty enough, but I'll taste it. If it needs some salt, I will add some. I don't think it will. But anyway, I'm going to simmer this for probably a couple hours for this amount, and until I get the consistency I want, and everything kind of tightens up and it turns nice and jammy. So I'll see you when I'm making this burger. All right, now I want to clarify 2 things. First is, when I did that demo, you know, I just set up a couple cameras here in the patio. I was rushing myself because I was expecting a delivery and I didn't want to miss it. So I didn't get the rendering that I really wanted on the bacon. I wanted the bacon to have a little bit more color, a little crispy, you know, crispier. So I scrapped what you saw me do. The recipe's fine. I used the same ingredients, but I redid it, you know, so it looks good for the video. And the other thing I did, I mentioned I may add some salt or something, you know. As I was cooking it, I realized it needed just a little bit more of like a kind of a sugar component to make it a little bit more jammy. So I added 2 tablespoons of brown sugar, and I ended up simmering that on very low temperatures for 4 hours, and it turned out killer. So it's kind of difficult to find just ground like American Wagyu for the consumer market. And the patties, I don't like them. I think they're overpacked. I don't, you know, like how they're kind of tough. So I wanted to grind my own beef. So those of you in San Diego, I go to this place when I want to buy Wagyu called the Meatery. And I'm not, believe me, I'm not sponsored by them or anything. They don't know who I am, but they have some pretty good deals there. One of the things they sell is what they call their ugly cuts, which are just, you know, a pretty large, basically piece of trim that they sell at a cut rate. And you could also buy trimmings. So starting off my blend here with, this is some trimmings, and I diced it up. But this was trimmings off of a rib roast, a prime rib roast. And this is really nice, you know, American Wagyu. Then I'm blending it with, they had the rib caps, their spinalis, on sale. So I bought a A5 Japanese Wagyu. So this is from Japan. And then I diced up, I'm using just a little of that. I'm not using all of it, but it's going to be about 2/3 of this American Wagyu and 1/3 of that right there, Japanese A5 rib cap. This is beautiful. This is going to be awesome. And the cool thing is, so the spinalis, it was a nice chunk of meat. Again, A5 Japanese Wagyu. That was on sale for like 49 bucks. I bought that, then he just gave me this. He didn't even charge me for it. So anyway, I thought it was pretty cool. So I'm gonna get this all kind of mixed up in the pan here. Now I will run a little bread through here just to get the remainder meat out of the grinder here. Look at that. Seeing it's nice and loose. I just, again, a lot of those pre-pattied, you know, the American Wagyu you buy, the patties are just so tough. So let's go ahead and form our slider patties for this killer burger we're about to make. All right, so I'm using a 3-inch pastry ring for these burgers. I don't know if they're using that, but I just I'm kind of AR when it comes to burger patties. And I put this, you know, it's in a stainless steel bowl. I put this ground meat in the refrigerator for a bit to just tighten it up, because Wagyu, the fat is so soft, it melts very quickly. So, like I said, these are 1/4 pound or 4 ounces. And that's what 4 ounces looks like. You don't want to press it too hard, just enough to make it pack. And there we are, beautiful. So while I get everything ready for the cook, I'm going to get these patties in the refrigerator, just let them tighten up again, because again, this Wagyu fat is so soft. I mean, you look at it wrong and it starts to melt. So I just like these to be a little bit cool when they're hitting the griddle. So I'll meet you guys at the flat top. All right, flat top's running at medium-high here. I have it on low here, just keeping my confit and that awesome whiskey bacon jam warm there. Let's get those Wagyu patties down. Little kosher salt. Lay down a little fat here. I'm just using avocado oil. Butter would be great. Wagyu fat would be better. Just want to start giving these are brioche buns. These are the exact size that they're using at Rosemarie's. And I bought these at Aldi's. Ooh, nice. Bottom buns here, I'm going to add a little bit of Kewpie mayo, Japanese mayo. Some of that arugula that's been tossed in the rice vinegar. Which is genius. Right. Nice. Nice. Top of this patty, I'm going to lay down some of that onion confit. Smells really good, nice and buttery. Lay down a slice of jack cheese. Little water. Patty down. Beautiful. Patty down. Some of that beautiful bacon whiskey jam. And I will share with you that another thing that Chef Nick shared with me is that his bacon jam, he likes to keep it a little bit looser so it flows a little bit more. And I agree with that. This is beautiful. Just looking at it like this. The crown. Just one more touch that they use there is a toothpick with the little cherry peppers on it. Just for that little extra effect here. And they're actually very tasty. It's a nice way to kind of kick off the burger before you start eating it. All right, let's see how I did. By the way, I will tell you that Rosemarie's has probably the best napkins that I've ever seen at a burger joint before. It's almost like a cloth. So I hope Gareth sees this video. We'll see. Anyway, let's give these a try. I just came off of this yesterday. I had 2 of these. Look at that. It's just beautiful, that jack cheese goozing down like that. Nice and pink in the middle, nice and juicy. It's just such a great burger. I mean, it's simple. I mean, kind of simple, but it's not, you know, pretentious. It's just everything works, everything plays very well together. And it's again, I really appreciate it when someone puts a lot of thought into a burger, but it doesn't make it, it's not all snooty, if that makes any sense. The whiskey jam is killer. And, you know, I'm definitely getting that whiskey flavor. Cooks along, there's definitely no alcohol in there anymore, so you're not getting that bite that you would if there was still alcohol in there. But you're getting that beautiful bourbon flavor, then with the maple in there just playing along. It's just such a great burger. And the whole slider concept, you know, using those thick quarter-pound patties on a slider is just genius. This is good, really good. So, yeah, I don't have anything to say other than everything is so perfectly balanced. Again, I am very grateful for that simple tip of dressing the arugula in the rice vinegar. I'll be doing that in the future. I mean, I'm thinking even shredded lettuce tossed in with a little, you know, the rice wine vinegar would be cool. Just another way of adding acid, which definitely needed in this umami bomb here. So much richness, so much fat, and it just cuts right through and just, again, helps balance things out. That confit, here's something funny. When we went to the restaurant, you know, there's a guy sitting right next to us and everything. I didn't want to get all savage and start tearing things apart. So I was looking at the bacon whiskey jam, and there's onion in there. But because he had listed onion confit and bacon jam, I was thinking that the onions were just the confit. And it wasn't until I got home and tore the cheese off, because I could see the confit onions hiding underneath the jack cheese there. So you're getting double the onions, you know, but you're getting those nice caramely, jammy onions with that, you know, the whiskey bacon jam, and then that rich, buttery, you know, it's like they'll put on, you know, the Wisconsin butter burger. A lot of times they'll use that kind of a onion confit, and it's very similar to that. But so much richness, and then again the acidity from that rice wine vinegar. Beautiful. So glad I went there. But And Nick, if you watch this, you're a very cool guy too, man. Appreciate you visiting with me, and I'm hoping to get to visit with you again. If you're new to the channel, please consider hitting the subscription button, ring the notification bell, thumb it up if you like it. I hope you did. What's not to like? Keep those suggestions coming in. If there's a place, especially if you live in San Diego area, a place you want me to visit, leave it in the comments, or even better, send me an email. My email address is down in the description box. I'll see you on the next video. This is freaking awesome. Cheers.